and other unlawful actions by members of SAPS, officials of the city of Ekurhuleni, and members of EMPD. This includes KZN Hawks head Lesetja Senona, currently testifying before the Commission, as well as SAPS's head of organised crime, Richard Shibiri. Recommendations were further made for investigations into suspended EMPD Chief of Police, Julius Mkonazi, and 3 members of EMPD who formed part of the SWAT unit, which Mkonazi headed. The city of Ekurhuleni's former city manager, Imogen Mashazi, fleet manager, Chris Stein, head of human resources, Linda Kasheka, and suspended head of legal, Kemi Bihari, are also listed as those who should be investigated. Arun Singh, Eyewitness News.
At the same time, KZN Hawks boss Lesetja Senona claims he is being prejudiced at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Senona is testifying before the Commission in Pretoria for a 3rd day today, but before his cross-examination could resume this morning, he requested to address the Commission. The issue resulted in a 45-minute back and forth between the evidence leader Adila Hassim as well as Senona's attorney. Senona accused the Commission's attorneys of not furnishing him or his legal team with evidence timeously so they can prepare.
Some of the documents we received annexures on the 27th, Tuesday. This morning, we received an email of another document, of which I'm not sure I'm going to be cross-examined by that document or not. But these practices, I feel that I'm being prejudiced.
We shift our focus to this now. Action SA says it will abstain from the vote of no confidence against Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero. Morero is facing another Al Jamaa-sponsored no confidence motion in the council today. The party believes Morero is failing to improve service delivery. Alfarat Mushwana reports from council.
The ANC is still locked in last-minute talks with Al Jamaa and other political parties in the multi-party coalition. It's understood the ANC's national and provincial leadership met overnight to discuss calls from coalition partners for Dada Morero to step down as the mayor of Johannesburg. That meeting ended without a decision, with leaders now in another meeting where Morero's future is expected to be decided. However, Action SA caucus leader Marcel Cochiers says the party will not entertain the motion.
We are adamant that we are not going to vote. We are going to abstain. And the reason for that is first of all, engagement. We haven't been engaged, we're engaged at the last minute, let's put it that way. And we don't stand for that.
He says the ANC should fix its internal problems outside of the council chambers. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News, Johannesburg.
Protesters have gathered outside the Athlone Magistrates Court, where 11 members of the Western Cape anti-gang unit are appearing on a charge of murder. The suspects are accused of killing Manenberg resident Wade Price, who was arrested in December last year. Price was allegedly suffocated during police interrogation. Carlo Peterson has more.
Inside court, the 11 anti-gang unit members accused of murdering Wade Price appeared under the heavy guard of members from the same unit. The 11 accused face charges of murder, kidnapping, assault, torture and defeating the ends of justice. NPA spokesperson Eric Ntabazalila says the state's investigation is ongoing.
We've received a post-mortem report, but we still have a DNA report that's outstanding, as well as the crime scene reports that are still outstanding.
The matter was postponed to the 5th of March for further investigation. Meanwhile, the defence is expected to attend a bail appeal hearing at the Western Cape High Court tomorrow. Carlo Peterson, Eyewitness News at Athlone Magistrates Court.
And China's President Xi Jinping has told Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer that their countries must strengthen ties to counter geopolitical headwinds. They've been meeting in Beijing this morning. President Xi Jinping has told Starmer that as permanent members of the UN Security Council and major global economies, China and the UK need to strengthen dialogue and cooperation. Starmer's visit to China is the first by a British Prime Minister since 2018 and follows a slew of Western leaders seeking warmer relations with Beijing recently.
China is a vital player on the global stage, and it's vital that we build a more sophisticated relationship where we can identify opportunities to collaborate, but of course also allow a meaningful dialogue on areas where we disagree.
Gold is trading at $5,275.84 an ounce. The rand is at 15.92 to the dollar, 21.94 to the pound, 19.08 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $67.14 a barrel.
Well, at this stage in Joburg, Gauteng, things looking really good. No major delays or accidents have been reported. However, in the mother city, just look out for that stationary truck on the R3.8. This is between Riebeek Castle and Riebeek West.
A partly cloudy Thursday in Gauteng with scattered thundershowers expected this afternoon. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 30 degrees. And we have clear skies in Cape Town today with temperatures peaking at 31 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. President Cyril Ramaphosa has instructed the SAPS to establish a special task team to probe some of those identified at the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. On 92.7 and 106 FM.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app
And on DSTV channel 856.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. Good afternoon, I'm Jane Dutton. The President has finally moved on the Madlanga findings, announcing a special task team. For the first time, we're seeing names from SAPS, Ekurhuleni, Council on the JMPD. Also, illegal street racing in Joburg and Cape Town, dangerous, deadly, loud enough to keep residents awake until dawn with little sign of enforcement. Why? South Africa's film industry is in a crisis. About 3.8 billion rand has been lost. And actors are protesting yesterday and today after bungling by the Department of Trade, Industry and Competition. Vusimuzi Matlala is back in court. He's not happy with his prison digs, I believe. And in Johannesburg, will the mayor survive yet another showdown in council? I'd love to hear from you on these stories. I'm sure you've got lots to say, especially about the new task team which has been announced. Our number is 072 702 1702 and Cape Talk number is 072 567 1567.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
We called, we demanded, and at last names. President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced a special task team to act on the Madlanga findings. Vincent Magwenya is the spokesperson for the president. A very good afternoon to you. Tell us about this announcement today. I know that there's been a lot of pressure to come up with this, to deliver, to give us names. What happened?
Good afternoon, Jane, and good afternoon to your listeners. Look, this task team that will have a person leading it reporting directly to General Masemula is, let's call it an accountability mechanism. The president doesn't want to just leave it to the relevant institutions to engage slowly their processes of dealing with these individuals. He wants to have speedy processes that follow on the recommendations of the Madlanga Commission interim report so that these matters are concluded. It's important that they concluded because we need to assure South Africans and raise levels of confidence towards law enforcement agencies, and we need to sustain operational strength and capacity of these institutions by dealing with individuals that have undermined their capability and their mandate to deal with crime and corruption.
Any more details on how it'll operate and who's in there?
Well, we don't have names yet. The president has directed the National Police Commissioner and the minister to see to it that that task team is formed. So at the right time, an announcement will be made. For now, the directive is that all impacted law enforcement agencies must act very quickly and with speed in following up on the referrals made by the Commission. And this task team will therefore be supervising those processes, reporting to General Masemula, and those reports will go to the minister and the president directly.
Okay, you say this is going to be speedy, but any idea of the timeline?
Well, due process is important in this regard. We have to ensure that as much as these individuals are implicated, their rights are not violated. And so it's difficult to put a timeline on due process without coming across as if you are interfering. And so we need to allow that due process to take its course.
And will anyone be arrested if the investigation shows wrongdoing?
Oh, certainly, they have to be arrested. I mean, some of the accusations against some of the individuals involve things like murder, perjury, and different levels of corruption. So it's certainly an expectation of the president that those investigations must result in arrest of those individuals implicated on those kinds of heinous crimes.
All right, so I mean, it certainly is a sign that nothing's going to be buried. I'd like to change gears with you briefly, if I may, seeing as I have you on the line. The president has spoken publicly about South Africa's relationship with Iran. More recently, in the context of the protests, the body count, we're hearing up to 8,000 people have been killed. Yet he hasn't condemned what's going on there. Is it time now to condemn what's happening?
No. What the president has said has expressed concerns, obviously, at the loss of lives and the instability in Iran, and has called on the leadership of Iran to engage those who are leading the protest and to engage the different parts of society and look at ways of finding amicable and peaceful ways to resolve the issues that they may have. And so that call remains. That
but why not condemn?
No, hang on, Jane. It's not about condemning. Condemning is a word. You condemn and then what happens? What you always do, which is constructive, is to engage the parties and assist and support them in finding peaceful means. Once you've condemned, then what happens? South Africa has always sought to constructively engage parties that find themselves in conflict situation and reflect on South Africa's own experience in this regard and assist those parties to move forward. And that is a lot more constructive in the president's view than rushing into condemnation.
Vincent Magrinya, spokesperson for the president, thank you for your time.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
EWN reporter Oren Singh is sitting in the studio with me. You've been listening in on that interview with the spokesperson. What more do we know about the names and who's implicated here?
I think, Jane, it's quite relevant this coming out at this time because we see first on the list of SAPS officials is Major General Lesetja Senona, KZN Hawks boss, currently before the Madlanga Commission sitting in Pretoria. He's been testifying since Tuesday, and he's still on the stand 3 days in, and he is listed as the number one name on that SAPS list. So I think, some of the evidence that's been presented before the commission has been damning, not only against Major General Senona, but others on the list. If we just look briefly, we see that Major General Richard Shabiri, the head of organized crime, the allegations against Major General Shabiri were also damning, that he had received money from criminal elements or criminals within the country. And we see the name of Sergeant Fani Nkosi. Sergeant Fani Nkosi, that was a man whose face appeared on CCTV camera at Katie Molefe's house, walking off with this, I would call it a luxury bag that we don't know what's in, but we can only presume what was in that bag, given he's also been alleged to be the runner for the suspended Deputy National Police Commissioner, Shadrack Sibiya, and that he would go and collect cash for Shadrack Sibiya from some of these people who are seen and have been alleged to have bought off certain people within the criminal justice system in the country. EMPD chief, I don't think anyone thought he wouldn't be on the list. Suspended Julius Mkonazi on that list, but also 3 of the people that reported to him when he had started the SWAT unit at EMPD, and that unit have been, alleged to be involved in the murder and interrogation of a certain man in Brakpan. And so him, as well as three people that reported to him previously on that list, as well as Imogen Mashazi. I think there was no doubt that her name, the former city manager for Ekurhuleni, would be on that list. But I think, Jane, the one thing that concerns me, and I just want to allude to this, around the formation of this task team, I think anyone would welcome it. But I think the flaw in President Ramaphosa establishing this task team is having it report to the National Police Commissioner, General Fani Masemola.
That was going to be my follow-up question. Why him? I mean,
I can see why President Ramaphosa did it, in that he's obviously the National Police Commissioner. He should oversee a task team that is mandated to deal with allegations of this magnitude. But given that he's also testified before the Madlanga Commission, I mean, doesn't it sort of taint him in a way? He's also testified against some of the very people implicated in this report. Doesn't that lead to a conflict of interest? I would have preferred to see an independent body or an independent person from out of any sort of state structure lead up this task team and have them report to that person. But obviously, President Ramaphosa has done it this way. It's his decision at the end of the day, being the president of the country, and maybe there won't be any issues. But I don't foresee that Fani Masemola was the right person to head this task team up.
I was surprised, considering what you've just alluded to. Are we getting a sense, a clearer picture on the parties that are forming, the different sides, and who's going to be staying and who's going to be going?
I think we are. I think we're getting a lot clearer the sense, and we said it from the outset, Jane, before the commission even commenced, that this was a fight for crime intelligence. It's a fight for the heart of SAPS, and there's two clear factions that have formed on either side of the fence regarding this fight. But I think we're getting a lot more clearer of a picture when it comes to people like Lesetja Senona, the head of the Hawks. Which side did he necessarily fall on? But I mean, him having maintained close relations with Vusimuzi Cat Matlala indicates to us that he was definitely on a certain side of the camp. Becky Tele, the former minister, on a certain side of the camp. And I think the picture is getting a lot more clear, and we're going to see in the coming days a lot more coming out from the commission and what's to happen going forward in terms of the special task team that's been formed in having to investigate those that have been implicated in the initial 3-month report.
So we're going to be reporting on Cat in court. Senona is talking now, so let's just dip into that and listen to it for a bit. Thanks, Oren.
Page 7.
Yeah, page 7.
Have you found the chats? Correct, Commissioner. Yeah. I did. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Sim?
So, do you want to answer the question? Or?
Can you repeat it, please?
You asking him, did you meet with Tato? He says to you, tomorrow I'm waiting for offer to purchase first. Do you indicate in your usual way, thank you? And my question is about this conversation you're having and about the broader relationship between you, your son, and Mr. Matlala. So, what was this conversation about between you and him and the offer to purchase?
Look, I believe that he was updating me about what they are doing with my son, because when I asked him, did you meet with Tato? Remember, I testified on Tuesday that at some stages, he asked me if I know Tato Senona. I explained, and then he explored to me in relation to the business that him and my son were starting to engage on, and then I was very much happy with that. And eventually, if he doesn't get Tato, he will always come to me and say, inform Tato to call me. It's not, he never said, do this and this and this for Tato, but inform Tato to call me. They call, sometimes they meet. I was just checking if they met, because I knew they were supposed to meet to do their own business.
All right, that is Senona talking at the Madlanga inquiry, and we just heard that his name is on that list that has been released today after the president announced a task team to investigate what has come out. Khomotso Modise is reporting on the Matlala case. He appeared in court, in the High Court, for the first time, and I believe he's not very happy with his prison digs.
Yeah, not at all, Jane. In fact, this was his first court appearance in the High Court, and usually, with the first court appearance, it's for pre-trial, get all the admin out the way, which was done today in court. Disclosures made, where the state will say, this is what we've handed over to the defense, and this is what's outstanding. And all of that really was done really well in terms of the admin. The defense, particularly Matlala's lawyers, saying that they do appreciate what they've received. There's some downloads that are about a terabyte of downloads that have been handed over from the state. This is part of the state's case to the defense. And they're saying they're going to be asking for more information as the trial, or just before the trial goes ahead. But while right after that, Jane, we then saw the lawyers for Vusmuzi Matlala raising the issues around his incarceration. You'll remember that in December, he was moved from the Kgosi Mampuru C-Max facility to the Supermax, the only Supermax facility that we have in the country, Ebongweni in Kokstad. And his lawyers have spoken about the difficulties that they've had with him being held there, just around consultation and the admin that comes with him being kept there. Let's take a listen to Advocate Anneleen van der Heerden, who's been representing Matlala.
Then, to consult, he sits behind a thick glass where you can barely hear each other, with people around you listening to what's going on. And I respectfully submit it's a well-known fact that they also record whatever consultations or conversation goes on there. And I think one of my colleagues that's here, one of my little friends, can confirm that situation. So you, at the end of the day, your access to your client to prepare for anything, whether it's trial-related, pre-trial-related, is literally down to an hour, maybe 2 hours.
All right, so doing the admin now, what do we know about the accusations against him and the others, and what are we likely to hear?
Well, we haven't heard anything yet. We haven't gone into the merits of the case. The trial hasn't kicked off. There hasn't been any pleading yet to the charges before them. There are over 20 charges against them, 11 of which are attempted murder counts. And these are for 3 attempted murder incidents. One of which, and that's the one that we've spoken the most about, is the attempted murder of Tebogo Tomejane, Matlala's ex-girlfriend. She's a socialite and actress. But there are 2 other people, a businessman and a DJ, who also had hits on them that were botched. All of those, all 5 accused have been charged with those attempted hits as well. What's going to happen now, Jane, is that the matter has been postponed to next week. And this is to allow the court an opportunity, allow the state an opportunity to ascertain the details around why, or the decision that was made by Correctional Services to move Matlala to Ebongweni. I think it's interesting that Acting Judge Karim spoke about how he understood the concerns that have been raised by Matlala. It really does sound like it's difficult for him to consult with his lawyers. And of course, there must be a consideration that he has a fair trial and is afforded the opportunity to prepare for his trial. So next week, the matter goes back to court. The state will report back on what the Correctional Services Commissioner says about the decision that was made and why it was made. And then a decision will be made after that from Matlala's lawyers on whether they bring an urgent application to have him moved to a closer facility. But it sounds to me like they are very keen and eager to bring that urgent application so that he can be incarcerated at a facility closer to Johannesburg.
And let's leave it there. So thank you. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
At Dis-Chem, get ready to start the year strong with better health and better rewards. Enjoy 20% off the lifestyle food range, plus an extra 10% off when you swipe your Better Rewards card. And get 2+1 cheapest free on any Future Life foods. Look out for the Better Rewards icon to get an extra 10% off on Better Rewards brands. Offers valid from Tuesday 13 January to Sunday 15 February. Only at Dis-Chem. Better health starts here.
For over 30 years, Midday Cargo has been keeping South Africa's supply chain moving, giving our economy the dedicated cargo capacity it needs. Whether it's really, really urgent, oversized, or hazardous, when a shipment has to fly, we make it happen. Linking all major airports with reliable freighter services, our promise delivers. Midday Cargo. Every kilo counts.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car on the way to the hospital, carrying an elderly couple, playfully bantering about who their first grandchild will look like. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's bringing two generations together. Every story's different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
Because this journey is better taken together.
Let's walk the talk. 702.
Good day, Jane. If I was General Sinono, I would develop a severe case of any kind of medical emergency right now, because he's implicating himself and lying and being told in the commission that he's not being truthful over and over again. These people, him included, their moral compasses and ethical compasses is so skewed. They have no idea about ethics or criminality. It's just a normal day at the office. Thanks, Joe.
Yes, it's amazing how many times people who are implicated suddenly fall ill. All right, after surviving earlier attempts to remove him, Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morera is once again on the brink of a motion of no confidence. Let's bring in Alpha Ramashwana, who's keeping an eye on the vote, which is likely to take place this afternoon. What's the feeling there, Alpha? Is he going to make it?
Good afternoon, Mandy. As we speak, the ANC is still in discussions with the ANC's national leadership is still in discussions with its provincial leadership about the growing calls for Dada Morero to be recalled and removed as the mayor of Johannesburg. You would know that last month, Jane, Dada Morero lost the race to retain his position as the ANC leader in Johannesburg to Loyiso Masuku, and some factions within the ANC want Masuku to take over from Dada Morero. So currently, it is still a bit unclear. They're still in engagements, but we did hear Fikile Mbalula saying that he doesn't believe that Morero should be removed because the local government elections are around the corner and it's going to destabilize local government and the city of Johannesburg. So right now, as we speak, those engagements are still happening. Council is on. So later in the afternoon, we do expect that vote to begin. We did speak to the Action Essays caucus leader, Mr. Marcel, and he gave us the Action Essays plan today, and they say that they're going to be abstaining from that vote. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
So I think the big question is, will there be a motion of no confidence? So that's always, it gets dumped last minute. But if there is a motion of no confidence, we are adamant that we are not going to vote. We are going to abstain. And the reason for that is first of all, engagement. We haven't been engaged, we're engaged at the last minute, let's put it that way. And we don't stand for that thing. And then besides that, these are internal rankings. They must sort their nonsense out. We want service delivery. We want the citizens of Johannesburg to be serviced regularly and fairly.
Will he stay? Will he go? Alpha Ramashwana on that story about the future of Joburg's mayor. It's 12:30, time for the news headlines.
Thanks, Jane. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa has instructed the SAPS to establish a special task team to probe some of those identified at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry. It follows a recommendation contained in the Commission's 3-month interim report. The Commission has recommended investigations into the conduct of 5 senior SAPS members as well as 9 Ekurhuleni municipal officials. Lawyers for alleged crime boss Vusumuzi Matlala have pleaded with the Johannesburg High Court to intervene in the decision to imprison him at the country's tightest security prison. Matlala, his wife Zakane and 3 others made their first High Court appearance for pre-trial proceedings today. They are facing 25 charges, including 11 attempted murder charges for alleged hits of 3 people. And Action SA says it will be abstaining from the vote of no confidence against Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero. Morero is facing another Al Jamaa-sponsored no confidence motion in the City Council today. The party believes Morero is failing to improve service delivery. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Tolagile Mganga. Irina Sabalenka is through to the Australian Open final following a 6-2 and 6-3 win over Elina Svitolina. Victory sees Sabalenka become just the third player in the Open era to reach 4 consecutive women's singles finals at Melbourne Park. She'll face the winner of the clash between Elena Rybakina and Jessica Bugela. That's for a chance to win her third Australian title.
The most important for me to be focused on my serve, since it's a big advantage if it works. She's very experienced opponent, and she moves well, and also her ball stays quite low, so that makes a bit difficult sometimes to play her. I will try to adjust and talk with my team. We make some plan for the match, and we'll try to do my best, definitely.
Serena Williams has refused to rule out returning to professional tennis after recently filing the necessary paperwork. Williams retired after the 2022 US Open, and in December last year, the International Tennis Integrity Agency confirmed she was back on the list of players registered for the drug testing pool. At the same time, she insists she wasn't coming back, but during an interview on the Today Show, Williams didn't rule out stepping back onto the court. And Kaizer Chiefs have moved up to second place in the Betway Premiership following a 1-0 victory over Marumo Gallants. That moves them just 2 points behind leaders Mamelodi Sundowns. Co-coach Cedric Kaze has discussed the significance of the victory as they look to end their 11-year title drought.
It's a big win away from home on a very difficult field, and but we didn't want to complain about the field or to feel sorry for ourselves. So we are a big team. We need to play in every conditions that we find ourselves in, and I would say that it's a big win. What I saw today, I'm not quite sure that there is a lot of teams that are going to win on that field.
Tolagile Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in Gauteng, traffic looking pretty good. No serious accidents or major delays have been reported at this hour. However, just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Midrand at Old Pretoria Road and Olifantsfontein Road. In the mother city, Dick Buton is closed off to traffic. This is approaching the M5. This is due to a police incident, so avoid that route if you can. There's also a truck that's stationary and causing some delays on the R3.11 between Riebeck Castle and Riebeck West. And there's also slow-moving traffic. This is in Brackenfell between Francis Bard and Okavanka Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Different sounds, different worlds.
Different artistic expressions, music, art, and fashion collide. Are you coming? Let's go to the place where the beat drops, the fashion pops, and the art rocks.
We're talking Focalistic, Dali Wonga, Mafigi Zolo, Kurt Darren, Matlala Doughboy, Zoe Mujija, Claire Johnston from Mango Groove, the Tswani Gospel Choir, and more. Mahindra Fusion Fest, Saturday 7th March, Sunbet Arena. Tickets on Ticketmaster now. See you there.
From pioneering investments in the telecom sector to getting a foot in the door in the early days of private media, the Mineworkers Investment Company has always been on the lookout for new and innovative companies to advance South Africa as a nation, while building financial security for our country's mine workers and their families. As we end a year of looking back on 3 decades of incredible successes, we look forward to the next 3 decades and beyond. Join us as we celebrate 30 years of MIC.
702 is in conversation with Capitec, discussing how South Africans can protect themselves against financial crime.
So firstly, let's look at the red flags that you need to watch out for. Prices significantly lower than similar listings. In the case of accommodation, no in-person viewing allowed. And typically excuses like I'm traveling or I've relocated or there are people in the accommodation at the moment, I can't take you there. Pressure tactics is a favorite. I have another 3 buyers ready to pay. You need to pay now. Or deposit required immediately into a personal bank account. That's very often also another big trigger and red flag. new or empty profile with little activity, and then these perfectly looking photos. Often they're stolen from real listings. And then for accommodation, often there's a refusal to do a live video walk through the property.
Slam the scam with Capitec. Capitec is an authorized financial services provider and registered credit provider.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Good afternoon, I'm Jane Dutton. I'm with you. I'd love to hear from you. 072-702-1702 or Cape Talk area 072-567-1567. So, for many people living in Joburg and Cape Town, they can barely get to sleep at night because sometimes 3-4 times a week cars go racing up and down, illegal street racing, modified cars, sleep is shattered, nerves are frayed, safety. I mean, I know that people have died in both Cape Town and in Johannesburg. Rene Kilner is a Joburg resident, very close to Jan Smuts, where a lot of this is happening. Paint a picture for us, Rene, of what happens mainly over weekends and what's the impact on you?
Hi, Jane. Thanks very much for having us. I think... So obviously it's an emotional issue for residents. I think that when you live 500-600 meters from either Jan Smuts or Bolton or Oxford Road, and there are cars racing up and down and you can't sleep from, say, 12 o'clock till 4 o'clock in the morning because there's this consistent racing or revving of cars and racing of cars up and down the road. Obviously, people get annoyed, and it impacts on people's lives. And when one starts phoning JMPD, whose mandated is to actually start taking care of these things, and the phones are not answered, or when eventually one actually gets through to them, and they then tell you that they don't have a system to log the calls, I think people's frustration actually gets, it actually increases exponentially. So what has happened over the period of time, because this has been ongoing for a number of years, it's not something. So a group is sort of formed in the community to where people can actually deal with it. But I've noticed that people's frustrations have actually sort of exponentially increased quite dramatically. And it's not the community's responsibility to take care of it. It actually is JMPD and SAPS's responsibility to take care of it. So, and people want to go and fight with the business owners where these racers and street racers congregate. It's also not really the business owner's responsibility to do it. So fights have broken out at these businesses where it's happened. And people have died in Jan Smuts Avenue, and I think it was October or whatever last year, where guys raced on the wrong side of the road in the early hours of Sunday morning, and innocent people have actually lost their lives as a result of it.
Okay, Rene, we've got JMPD spokesperson Xolani Fichler on the line, so I'm going to thank you very much for that update, and let's put what you've said to him. Xolani Fichler, Jane here, good to have you with us. I'm sure you were listening in to that, and I just want to find out from you what is being done to stop this illegal racing that's been going on for years down Jan Smuts.
Thank you so much to you, Jane. Let me greet the listeners as well. Of course, as the JMPD, we are aware of the concerns that have been raised by the community regarding these incidences that have been happening along Jan Smuts Avenue. And I should say that contrary to the suggestion that no action at all has been taken by the JMPD, we have been conducting periodic patrols in the area, and specifically aimed at deterring the reckless driving and illegal gatherings. And this is, of course, following the recent tragic incidents that happened on Jan Smuts Avenue, including that high-profile accident where a Uber driver unfortunately lost his life. We have intensified our presence in the area, and we are also working closely with Rosebank SAPS. And these joint operations involve blue light patrols, which becomes a deterrent to these individuals. But moving beyond that, we are exploring into intelligence-based policing, and that's to identify the organizers of these events, engage with them so that they do not then do these events.
What you're doing is not working. It continues till 2, I think the last one was on Sunday morning and goes on till about 5 o'clock in the morning. So your presence is not deterring them. Many of them are racing. Many of them are don't even have registration plates. They're blocking off one of the roads of Jan Smuts Avenue. We know where they congregate, Pantry and further down the road at one of those petrol stations.
At the BP filling station.
Yeah.
Yes.
So why has nobody been arrested?
As I did mention that with the visible patrols, it's blue lights, it becomes a deterrent. And of course, with the visibility and the presence of police, they don't engage in these activities, then it would be difficult for a person to arrest someone if they haven't done anything. But as I did mention that we are looking into intelligence-based operations so that we do find them in the act, and then we can take that type of action. But in the present moment, then our visibility patrols with blue lights on then is the way that we are handling it, and especially with the joint operations with the SAPS. And I could also note that the Region B, which is the Randburg area, our regional office, has not received any formal complaints regarding this except through WhatsApp groups. And our previous speaker did mention that there has been problems with logging calls, and we have had a challenge due to systems upgrades and system problems, and that could be the reason why our regional office hasn't received any formal complaints. But as a JMPD, we are definitely aware of that, and we are noting the continuous concerns that we are receiving from the residents, and this does then mean that we need to uplift our presence in the area, and of course include those intelligence-based operations so that we do find people in the act.
All right, we're going big on this story. We're also focusing on it in Cape Town. So I'm going to be getting back in touch with you to find out how far down the line you've got and who these people are. Xolani Fihla, thank you very much.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
Hi, good morning, Jane. We South Africans, I'm not sure if you're going to be impressed about this new, whatever you call it, team. We had political team, we had this team, that team, whatever. What did these people do all along? And this new one, what are they going to do? I'm not sure if they're going to create anything that would impress us, the nation, South Africans. I'm not sure. Because they're going to fall in the same trap. Patty from Sprayview.
Hi, Jane. I find it very strange that you will have the SAPS investigating the SAPS. You're never going to get anything out of that. The only thing that needs to happen is the task team needs to be formed with a different, I would prefer the SIU, honestly. They by far seem to have brought more results than any other entity. And they also need to report directly to Feroz Kachalia because he's fairly neutral, he's fairly new. So with Fanima Simula in the mix, I really don't see anything coming out of this. People are going to walk away scotch-free. Pums in Centurion.
Yeah, I mean, Oren was saying it would have been better if it was independent, considering Masemola and the fact that we've seen him also commenting and interviewing and making statements at the inquiries that are underway. Let's bring in Lindsay Dentlinger now, EWN reporter. She's been listening in on the findings, the outcomes of the ANC Lekgotla. And what stood out for you, Lindsay?
Good afternoon, Jane. Well, very much issues that they have been covering over the weekend as that Lekgotla was unfolding, and a reaffirmation of positions taken with regard to the upcoming local government elections. The Secretary General Fikile Mbalula saying, just in respect of what's happening in Johannesburg today, that the party does not support the removal of Dada Morero as the Johannesburg mayor, that the party wants stability and that it doesn't believe that switching up the mayors once again, with only a few months to go before the elections are expected to take place, that would change anything for the city. He's also addressed issues of alleged vote rigging in that Johannesburg metro region, saying that the party had done a full investigation. A report would be shared with the provincial leadership, and once again cautioning about these claims that votes had been stolen, saying that there appeared to be very little evidence of this, and that one should consider where and who is crying foul about the election outcome, Jane.
And any clarity on foreign policy?
Well, he did not quite address where the Government of National Unity keeps bumping heads about foreign policy, but what he did say was that the party would be engaging in mass mobilization for a march on the 21st of March, which you know is Human Rights Day, and essentially this march would be dedicated to asserting South Africa's sovereignty and impressing on the global community that it stands for multilateralism. He once again named the U.S. President, Donald Trump, saying the ANC firmly believes that South Africa has been targeted in this false narrative about a genocide, but that it's not just South Africa that's facing Donald Trump's wrath. The statements that he's been making about Greenland, the invasion of Venezuela, and all of this points to the fact that no nation is really safe, if you will, from the decisions that come out of the United States. And for that reason, South Africa and the ANC would be engaging in this mass march to assert its position on foreign policy, Jane.
Thank you, Lindsay.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. Like a man wearing his finest suit on his way to an interview. He's prepped 100 times, but he still has butterflies. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's a potential lucky break that could change someone's life. Every story's different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
At Isuzu, we know every delivery, every kilometer, and every load is building something bigger. This truck month, set your business up for success with special deals across the Isuzu N and F-Series ranges. Don't get left behind. Speak to your Isuzu truck specialist or call 08600 Isuzu and secure your truck month deal today. Isuzu, with you for the long run. T's and C's apply.
Small businesses are anything but small. They're the backbone of our communities, the dreamers, the doers, the ones who keep Mzansi moving forward. That's why 702 and Capitec Business Banking are putting them in the spotlight. Every Thursday between 6 and 8 p.m., catch Small Business Focus with Capitec, where we showcase the hustle, heart, and the secrets to thriving in today's economy. Your vision matters, and with Capitec, you're never building it alone. Small Business Focus with Capitec, the business bank for everyone. Thursdays between 6 and 8 p.m. on 702. Capitec Bank is an authorized FSP 46669.
Because this journey is better taken together.
Let's walk the talk. 702.
In response to this drag racing, this illegal drag racing, Graham was saying, why can't the municipalities install 3 speed ramps along the strips that these dragsters use? Yes, there are many things that they can do that they clearly are not. Let's talk about this quiet but consequential fight which is unfolding over who really controls the police. An analysis by the Institute for Security Studies says South Africa's policing laws leave room for ministers to issue directions to SAPS, but don't clearly spell out where authority ends and interference begins. David Bruce is a researcher at the Institute for Security Studies. A very good afternoon to you, David. Before we get into that, I want to know what you make of the task team that was announced by the President this morning.
I'm sorry, I must apologize. I'm not, wasn't aware of an announcement regarding establishment of a task team.
All right. Yes, there's going to be a task team to investigate what's come out of the Madlanga inquiry and reporting to Fani Mosamola.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. That's
All right.
interesting. Thanks.
Let's talk about your findings about who really controls the police. What sort of role do ministers have here?
Well, the submission that we made to the ad hoc committee just talks about the constitutional provisions regarding the authority of the minister. And so the minister, in some ways, the Constitution indicates that the minister has broad authority for policing, and then more specifically, it authorizes the minister to issue national policing policy, but it also authorizes the minister to issue directions to the national commissioner. And as have been pointed out by ourselves and others who've appeared before the ad hoc committee or the Madlanga Commission, that there's a lot of confusion and there isn't much clarity regarding the scope of these provisions, particularly the authority to issue directions.
Surely that's a problem.
Right. Yes. So in some ways, one could see the current process and that's taking place as a consequence of the fact that attention hasn't been paid to the need to clarify more fully, the scope and potentially the manner in which the minister exercises the power to issue direction.
All right. I know that some MPs have rejected this view of yours about what ministers can and cannot do. What is their strongest legal argument?
I don't think we really face a legal argument. There are some people who have asserted quite strongly that the minister acted, beyond beyond his powers in ordering the closure of the political killing task team. But as far as I know, none of them have identified any specific legal provision that he violated. And, the Constitution does expressly say that the minister has the authority to issue direction. For instance, insofar, the political killings task team, for instance, was established under political direction, and there was no controversy about that. So the implication would be that whether the minister is involved in the establishment or authorizing the establishment of task teams or authorizing the closure of task teams, potentially the minister is exercising a similar type of authority. So on paper, at least, in terms of the constitutional provisions and existing legislation, there isn't an explicit violation of powers that that the minister can be he can't be said to have clearly violated any formal provision of the law.
All right. I know that you also suggest all ministerial direction should be written and disclosed. It'll be interesting to see if that is taken up and if that'll genuinely curb interference. Good getting your thoughts on this. David Bruce, researcher for the Institute for Security Studies.
Walking this talk together.
Every hour.
Every day. This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
It was going so well then. Incompetence and fiddling stepped in, and now South Africa's once booming film and TV industry is under threat. Local productions that once drew international investment and jobs have shrunk by almost 50%, with roughly 3.8 billion rand in foreign funding lost since COVID. crew members are selling homes. They're struggling to pay school fees because rebates haven't come through. They just haven't been paid. And thousands are marching on Parliament and government departments demanding action. One of those is Lungisani Gwadiso, a filmmaker, the Harry Gwala Film Institute. A very good afternoon to you. Tell us about the impact this has had on you and the sector.
Good afternoon, Jane. I would like to greet you and the listeners. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
I'm good. Look, Jane, what you are seeing now, is not hooliganism or anything, but we as filmmakers, we are just demanding what has been promised to us, demanding that the system that we known it for its implementation to work in a certain way, that has been not working that way. So it's really affecting us as executive producers and producers, and it's really affecting our credibility in the industry, not just our credibility and our government's credibility and the South African film and creative sector.
So, I mean, in a nutshell, the department is supposed to be offering rebates, which is an incentive for locals, for international productions to come and film here. Some of those rebates are not being paid at all. So, I mean, how are people living?
It's really affecting us and the people that we employ, and also taking away the jobs and foreign investors now are failing to trust us as creatives, because the system that's supposed to work for us seems to be working against us. So it's really bad. Some of the people can't live their normal daily lives because the jobs have been taken away, or the jobs that they've trusted to put the bread on the table no longer does. So it's really it's really affecting, I beg your pardon, it's really affecting our sector negatively.
There's a 2-day march underway yesterday and today. What is the message?
Look, we just want to say to the government, keep those institutional schemes that were working, keep them working on our behalf as the filmmaking industry. We are professionals. We are not people who can protest anytime, but we are now forced to, because really our hands are tied, and we have to make sure that we get a response from the government, specifically the Department of Trade and Industry Competition, to respond to us. We are just pleading for that. We are just pleading to have our jobs back. This is our bread and butter, filmmaking. We have a vision to take South Africa, to put South Africa on the map.
Okay.
This
right,
has been made competitive for us.
Sorry, I just butted in there because the line was breaking up. Very briefly, if you will, what actually works at the moment? What are the support schemes that do work?
Look, the Department of Trade and Industry and Competition themselves, they work, and also National Film and Video Foundation, they work. And I would like to thank National Film and Video Foundation for their program model that they've just initiated post-COVID, which is presidential stimulus that gave an opportunity to upcoming filmmakers like myself. Look, I'm a new executive producer. I'm a new writer. I'm a new director.
And I'm sure you need all of that help. Lungisani Gwadiso, thank you very much for talking to us. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. It's 1 o'clock. Time for the news.
This is EWN.
A special task team to probe those implicated at Madlanga Commission, and Kat Matlala wants to be moved to a closer prison. Good afternoon, I'm Maiki Malapo. It's the big story this afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa has instructed the SAPS to establish a special task team to probe some of those identified at the Matlanga Commission of Inquiry